What's good, everybody? Shout out to everybody in the live chat. I saw you guys getting live right before the countdown was dropping. Thank you for tuning in to episode 5 of UNDS, aka Undeadstock, the sneaker show where we talk about people wearing sneakers and the stories attached to them. Again, thank you guys for joining. 5 episodes deep. I'm super excited. We're building a super dope community. If you're part of the Discord, you already know it's live every single day. Now, today, just like every single Thursday, we kick off the episode with the Heat for Your Feet sneaker giveaway. Shout out to Heat and Souls. Shout out to MAC, Chris in the live chat, Polaroid, Angelito. Thank you guys for joining in. Today is a very special giveaway. We have the original Nike SB Dunk Diamond Supply. So we also have the retro that dropped in 2018. Shout out to everybody who got that right. 2005 is when the OGs dropped. Now, this giveaway is really special because I wanted to do something that pays tribute to our special guest, but also provides you guys with some real heat for your feet. I really love this shoe. This is like one of the colorways that really set off the Nike SB line. This is a special shoe. I actually wore this shoe for my high school prom, so I do have history with this shoe. Super dope shoe. My principal actually gave me a super big compliment when she saw me wear them. This was like back in the day when wearing sneakers to prom was not like cool. Everybody does it now, but back then it was not cool. So we got this. The grand prize winner will win the original Tiffany Dunk and a pair of HyperX gamer headphones. And the runner-up will win the 2018 white Tiffany SB Dunk. All of them got croc print. What's special about this is you have the swoosh that peels back and gives you that aqua right there. And if you want to really get crazy with this, you can put Travis Scott swooshes on here too. That's an idea. So these are the 2 giveaways. Best way to win them is all you got to do is stay live in the chat. Let's try to break the comment record. Last week, we did 3,500 comments with Walshy Fire. So make sure you break the comment record because every time we break it, I'm going to bless somebody in the chat with something super special. So let's get it. Tiffany Dunks, Heat for Your Feet giveaway. I'm excited for 2 people to win this. Now, the reason why we're all here, beyond just sneakers, beyond the community, we have a very, very, very special guest. This is actually somebody who I ran into on Instagram on the Explore page, and I thought her style was bananas. I thought her style was so crazy. I actually DM'd her and was like, yo, your style is super, super dope. Keep doing your thing. And we just kind of like developed a relationship. From there, her name is Madison Blank. And as you can see right now, her sneaker collection is A1. Her style is A1. I think she dresses better in men's clothes than I do, and that's huge. So shout out to Madison Blank. She is a streetwear aficionado. She is somebody who has an amazing come-up story we'll listen to here direct from her mouth in a second, and she rose all the way up to being a menswear director for luxury department. So she's somebody who you guys can ask business questions to, sneakerhead questions to. Anything goes in this live chat. She's a super awesome person. So everybody throw some fire emojis, some clap emojis, and welcome Madison Blank to the UNDS Show.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here. This is actually my first time ever doing something like this. I'm actually not in New York right now. I'm in my house where I grew up in Philly, which is a little different in my dad's office. But needless to say, I am super, super, super excited to be here and just to get talking.
Yo, first of all, thank you for allowing UNDS to be the first ever live stream Madison ever did. Hopefully we get you hooked. Everybody in live chat, definitely make her feel welcomed and show what this community is about. I appreciate you for stopping through, especially during this crazy quarantine. We're trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is the only way to communicate. It's either like Zoom, FaceTime. I mean, I'm talking to people that I haven't spoken to in years, just like catching up and checking in on one another because this time is crazy.
It's super important to stay connected. I hope you are safe, your family's safe and all that stuff. And we're going to have a really great conversation for a full hour. And I think with you, like your story is pretty unique. For the people who do know or don't know, I really want them to really help understand your journey, because it's one thing for somebody to, have a sneaker collection and then have like a really amazing job. But you really are similar to me in this, where like you started as a fan of sneakers and you became somebody who held a position that really, shaped the industry in fashion. So I would love to get into the beginnings of your story. But right before that, something I always love to do is it's customary for me to unds a pair of sneakers every single episode, only because the show is called Unds. Unds obviously means Undeadstock. So I got to show the live chat what I wore today. Brought these out from the archives. This is one of my favorite pair of Jordan 1s of all time. And this is from the early 2000s. This is 2001 to be exact. I love the suede. The suede on ones has never been better. And I did see you on Instagram today debut. Yes.
What was I wearing today? Shit, now I forget. Oh, I was wearing the Stussies. But I had already done them like 3 days ago. And it's funny, I actually didn't think I was going to get them. And my friend from Ubique, which I've been shopping from since I was a kid here in Philly, was like, listen, I got you on these. And I've been told I got you so many times in my life, and it ends up falling through. But he really came through. I mean, I got the bag, I got the apparel, I got the t-shirt, I got the shoes I wanted. And I was like, when it came today, I was like, bless. Because these are the things that I look forward to when I'm stuck in quarantine, is sneakers and sweatsuits.
Hey, shout out. Being cozy is like the only life that
oh my God. I haven't put on makeup or gotten dressed, I think, in about a month. And it feels weird. Like, I'm so used to taking my mirror selfie in my apartment in New York City and like getting dressed and getting on the subway and doing my routine and getting to work. And I'm like, I'm so out of whack. I literally roll out of bed. I like put a sweatsuit on, or I put workout clothes on. And that's literally all I do. Like, I'm in that from 9 a.m. until like 10 o'clock at night. So it was a little bit nicer. Like, now I feel a little bit more dressed up. I have like lipstick on. I have a little bit of makeup going on. I did my hair. I tried. I really fucking tried.
I respect it.
Were you allowed to curse on this thing?
Moderately.
Moderately, okay.
We're a family friendly show. But yeah, so let's get into the origins of Madison Blank. Like, you currently live in New York City and work out of New York City, but you're from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a really big spot for sneakers, especially way back in the day. Some of the best vintage spots were in Philly. You have icons who come from Philly. You have a hit show, Will Smith, from Philly in Fresh Prince. So like, Philadelphia has so much history, and I'm curious, how did Philadelphia really shape the person you are today and your style?
Honestly, I would say that I was always a tomboy growing up. I was always wearing men's clothing. I was always like into sneakers since I was a kid. And it was just something that I was like, that was just inherent to me. Like, it was never I had a younger sister. I had boy cousins, but none of them dressed like me. It was rap music. Yeah. Forever since I was a kid. It was sneakers. It was playing basketball. And the one thing about playing basketball was my love for Allen Iverson, obviously being from Philadelphia. And, I just loved his style and his attitude on and off the court. I mean, obviously there were some things that he did that probably weren't so great. But that was the first thing that really grew my appreciation for sneakers and for that culture in general. My first pair of sneakers were Reebok Questions, and then the Fives. Yeah. And I grew up playing basketball. I had the elbow patch. I had the sweatband. I had the jersey. I would go to every single game. I would go with signs. My dad would take me. Like, that was what I grew up with. And then that just translated into collecting sneakers, like I said, from middle school to high school. And then from there, right after college, my mom's been in women's fashion forever, since I was a kid, and for almost 35 years. And I always knew I wanted to do something different. I always knew the men's arena was where it was at for me. And men's was not a thing back then. Like, there was no Virgil, there was no Heron, there was Kanye, but he was more of like a lyricist then. Like, he was opening up for Usher when I saw him. That was
men's fashion back in the day. Since we're speaking about Iverson, men's fashion was white tees
and baggy jeans or big sweatpants. That was it. Like, there was no locker room fashion.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. It was Jay-Z and all these other people, but they were never like featured in anything. It wasn't a thing back then. But that was always what I knew that I wanted to do after college. I just didn't know in what realm, but I was like, this is it. And so I had followed Ronnie's, career working for his uncle at David Z in the stockroom, when he was making all of those Nikes with like the Gucci swooshes and Louis Vuitton swooshes and was selling them out of the stockroom at David Z.
So real quick, for those of you who are not aware, in the live chat, we have, she's speaking about Ronnie Fieg. Before he opened Kith, his family owns David Z's, which is a really prominent chain of sneakers throughout New York City.
So I followed his career from then. And then the fact that like he brought over New Balance and Asics, and people in America, especially in New York City, they weren't wearing those brands. It was Nike or it was Adidas. It was never Asics or New Balance or any of these, Hoka and all these other brands that are now become so popular. Anyway, so I followed his trajectory and I wrote him, I was like, you know what, I'm going to write him on Facebook and see if he ever answers me. So I wrote him an essay about how I fell in love with sneakers and how they shaped who I was. And I was like, you know what, he's never going to answer. 3 months later, I get an answer on Facebook. Meanwhile, this was like at the height of Facebook. Like it reached its peak then, and then people stopped using it. It became creepy. Yeah. And so he answered my Facebook message. He's like, hey, listen, you seem legit. Meet me at the store on Friday for an interview. And this was back when Kith was a small space in the back of Atrium on Bleecker and Lafayette. Actually between Bleecker and Lafayette and Broadway.
First of all, shout out to Atrium. That was like one of the most fire shops for
that
jeans.
Was oh my God, are you kidding me? I went for everything there. Atrium in New York and Atrium in Miami. But yeah, so I met him at Kith back then, and we had like an hour conversation. He was like, listen, you're hired, you start Monday. And wow. I worked, it was crazy. I mean, I literally left, I had like butterflies in my stomach. I was like, I'm on cloud 9. Like I sat down with him, we talked shop.
Real quick, before we get into talking shop, do you remember like what you wrote in that letter that made Ronnie like connect to your passion? Because I feel like he's obviously somebody who loves what he does, right? And he's like really passionate and very detail orientated. So he must have felt that energy from you to even, acknowledge you and also have that sit down conversation. So like, do you remember anything from that letter that you wrote to Ronnie Fieg? I feel like Ronnie Fieg's email is always on 1000% full. So you must have said something that really stuck out.
You know what I think it was? I think after maybe he looked at me a little bit deeper, like into like my Facebook page at the time. It was really uncommon, I think, for a lot of girls or females to be in that industry and to feel that way about sneakers and menswear at the time. So yes. I think maybe that's what stuck out to him. And then obviously once he saw my face, how could he resist? No, I'm kidding. I don't know what it was. I think it was just my story in general. I grew up playing sports, like I said. I grew up only wearing, men's clothing. I always shopped in the boys section. I was a tomboy seriously from age 6 until now, like 30 years old, and shit has not changed. Wow. So I think he just especially when he met me, I think he immediately saw that I was real and it was no bullshit. Like this is, not what you see on Instagram now is like all these girls trying to be something or all these guys trying to be something. Like, this is really who I grew up being. And like, Allen Iverson and these icons that I looked up to, like that's really what helped grow my love for the industry in general.
What's interesting when we talk about Philadelphia, Allen Iverson sneakers, in my opinion, Allen Iverson was probably I don't want to say the first because I can't say that for a fact, but he was the most prominent sneakerhead because to my understanding, he wanted to play in the Jordan 11s when he was in Georgetown. And when he got his Reebok deal, he wanted his shoe to look like the Jordan 11. So like he had that conscious mind of like what sneaker he was wearing, why he was wearing it, because he loved Michael Jordan so much. And being from Philadelphia, it feels like that energy from Iverson just kind of like was built into you guys' DNA. That's how I feel about like Jay-Z and, you know, Biggie and Puff Daddy and like all these guys. Like Iverson, you know, to me, he was an amazing basketball player and an icon, but coming from Philly, I can only imagine all the inspiration that you got from him from a style standpoint, competition, like
attitude,
athletic.
everything.
So I think that's super dope.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I agree with you in saying that he was definitely one of the first. He was. I mean, when you look back and you see photos and all of his photo shoots and on and off the court, like no one had swag like that. And swag, you know, swag, and I always say this, like swag is something that you are born with, that you either have or you don't. And Allen Iverson had swag and he still has swag. I mean, when I saw him speak in New York, I want to say it was last year, maybe like October-ish, he still has it. Like he has not lost it whatsoever. And I never met him in person, and I saw him at dinner like right after he spoke in New York. And I went up to him actually and showed him that like he was the background on my phone screen, and like even Halloween costumes of me dressed up as him. And he was like shook. He could not have been sweeter. I'm sure he was like, what does this white girl want?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I was like shaking.
That's super dope. You know, what's interesting is I do agree with you. I think swag is something that you're born with, and like when you try to emulate somebody's swag, it's definitely comes across that way. So with swag comes a generation now where we live in where, you know, it's not, you said your first shoe was like the Reebok Question, right?
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times when people get into sneakers now, they feel like they need to have the off-white, they need to have this to have an identity in sneakers.
Exactly.
When really sneakers is all about you expressing yourself through something that talks about your personality, right?
I think the one thing about sneakers for me too is like, sorry to cut you off, is the fact that I'm a true believer in wearing them. Like I buy sneakers that I'm going to wear. It's never for show. It's never for a picture. It's never to fit in somewhere. Every outfit that I build, every outfit that I wear starts from the feet up, because it's just like how I'm feeling that day. And I completely agree with what you said, like the generational thing and how sneakerheads, like how they start now versus how they started before. It really is like a telltale sign of like the true and the not.
So
sorry to cut you off.
No, I totally agree with you. Everybody in the live chat, if you get dressed from the feet first and up, definitely drop a sneaker emoji in the live chat right now. Let us know if you agree with Madison and myself. I'm the same way. Like when I wake up in the morning, I feel out what my mood is.
Yeah.
And then I look at what shoe matches my mood, and then I'll get something like to fit that mood. So I definitely agree.
100%.
Like,
100%.
I mean? Now, when we're talking about swag, like I said, there's a lot of people who, you know, they are not born with swag, but feel like they can buy swag. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that leads me to like this very first segment. It's actually a very new segment, everybody in the live chat, that I want to introduce. And it's a segment that we'll do, you know, every other week or so. But basically, there's so many crazy things going on in the internet that I felt like it's a perfect way to bring that into the show and have some fun. So we'll debut our first segment called Wow, That's Crazy. And our first Wow, That's Crazy moment is preachers wearing heat. Now, when I saw this Instagram, preachers and sneakers, I literally said, wow, that's crazy, because first of all, I never expect like a pastor wearing off-white ones and Balenciagas. Now, if this pastor got the off-white ones for retail, I'll give him a pass personally. But I know those Balenciagas are $1,000 after tax. So Madison, what is your opinion on pastors wearing heat? Because this is like a legit thing. There's like this Instagram that documents pastors wearing.
Do you know what's crazy? If you ever watch like any of the Hillsong, like Carl Lentz and Richie Wilkinson, like they dress better than anybody that I know. Like, and I'm Jewish and I go to synagogue, and there is nobody on the stage that looks like that. Like it is crazy. I mean, Carl Lentz, Richie Wilkinson, like Fear of God, Saint Laurent, Amiri head to toe, like the best sneakers, all the Virgils, like it's wild to me. But what I will say is that I don't know if I would I don't like the Triple S Balenciaga at all. I would never buy into it. Designer sneakers are, other than Chanel runners, I've never been a designer sneakerhead.
Wow.
So I don't mess around with them at all. And I especially don't like my preacher wearing them. But I respect the dude in the hoodie with the Jordan 1 Chicago's because I don't know, they just look good. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy to see it, especially in a church. Like I can't even imagine it.
I feel two ways about it. I feel like, you know, just because I'm in the sneaker industry doesn't mean that like, you know, I have to be into sneakers. You know what I'm saying? I could easily be doing stuff in music or be a pastor, but also happen to be a sneakerhead. So they may be expressing themselves just like we are. They're just on a little bit different platform where it kind of looks a little crazy to where like these off-white ones resell for like 4,000. Obviously the Balenciagas are 1,000. So like, I don't know, you're kind of flexing on your congregation is a little crazy to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't mind the flex though. Like, is that bad? I mind the triple S flex because that's just a bad flex. No offense.
It's a bad flex.
But I don't mind the Virgil off-white Jordan 1 Chicago's because number one, that's my favorite shoe. And number two, he looks really like he just looks good. Like I actually the fact that he's in a hoodie, he's like he just is cozy. He just is like keeping it real. Like he's like, this is what I wanted to wear today, and I'm just gonna talk God. I like
100%. It. I think you know, if my pastor was wearing heat, like I would just have to come to church to flex on the pastor.
Yeah. I agree.
Kind of turned into a flex competition. So yeah, that's our segment for Wow, That's Crazy. What an amazing way to kick that segment off. Like this was probably one of my favorite things I've seen on Instagram. Everybody in the live chat, would you prefer the Balenciaga flex or the off-white flex? Which preacher really killed it during mass? Yeah, everybody's saying off-white.
Off-white for sure.
I agree. Yo, that still blows me away. Now
it's wild. I feel like it's like a thing now too. Like I even see like the way the Kardashians and all these other people that are going to church, like before Kanye was doing a Sunday service, and it's like in crop tops and jeans. Like when I go to like synagogue, like it is like full all black, like no skin showing, like yeah, mad low key.
I dig it. I usually just put on a collared shirt and some normal shoes.
Yeah.
But hey, I think, you know, everything's changing. Sneaker culture is literally even getting into religion, which, hey, if it helps people, if it helps pastors connect to the youth, I'm all for it. Agreed. As long as there's nothing like, as long as you're not taking the collection plate and using it to cop sneakers off StockX, then I'm 100% with it. Now, that kind of leads me to my next question for you is, you know, what was your biggest L in sneakers?
Oh, wow. So I would say my biggest L was the Ronnie Fieg, the Feigstas, when he did the collaboration with Bape.
Oh, the big, the suede or the white ones?
I would say, the vegan, like the veggie tan were my favorite. I mean, whites are a classic, but I would probably go with like the veggie tan ones. And I would say, I mean, those killed me. Those I was hurt on because I was like, I worked for Kith. Like I knew everybody. Everyone was like, I got you. Again, that was like the I got you. And then I don't got you. And I have a small foot. So I think that's what ended up killing my chances to begin with.
I you know what? I would feel bad for that story and for you if you didn't just get the friends and family Kith Air Force One.
I was actually about to say that.
You took an L just to get a really big. I was going to ask you what's your biggest W in sneakers, but you took like a huge L and you got the friends and family Kith Air Force Ones. Beyond that sneaker, what do you think is like your biggest W that you either got like a crazy deal on, or you just ended up copying in some type of way that you didn't really think that you'd be able to obtain that?
I would say the biggest one that was the most, I mean, very important to me was every Virgil Nike that's come out, he's given me for free.
Wow.
So I'll say that's the biggest W.
Wow. Flex. Wow.
But
Everybody
you
in
know
the
what's
live
even more
chat,
messed
please
up?
give Madison the flex, the arm flex emoji. She just flexed harder than any guest we've ever had on this show.
Okay. Yeah, I did. But I will say what's even more messed up, the one thing I'm pissed off about is the Dior Jordans. So I was like, I'm definitely going to make the list. La da da da. And my dad calls me and he's like, by the way, should I get the lows or the highs? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh yeah, I'm on the Dior Jordan list. I'm like, what?
Shout out to Pops.
Yeah, what? Like, that was honestly, that I was shook from that. Shook that my dad is now more important than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what to say. First of all, I can't even compare to your flex. The only off-white Nike shoe that I got from Virgil and Nike was the original Vapor Max before they dropped. So that's like my little off-white flex. But you getting every single off-white for the free is a tremendous flex. But I'll actually expand upon that. You actually also have Virgil commenting on your Instagram. Do you have any sort of relationship with Virgil direct, or is it somebody with this team, or like what's your relationship with Off-White and
when I
Virgil?
was working for GQ, we actually shot Virgil for the first time. This was when Off-White first launched. And I was always a fan. Like, I had bought pieces from Hirschleifers when Off-White was like under the radar. Like, no one knew what it was. No one knew what it meant. No one knew who Virgil was. And I followed him because of RSVP and because of Heron and, Bintrill and, just I was addicted to like Kanye's legacy in general. So it was like Jerry and Iben and all of them. And then I became really close with him. We just stayed in touch, through my years at GQ, then moving to Barney's, and then moving onto Saks. And we just had a lot of mutual friends. So, and I believe in connections and I believe in staying connected. And I think that's really important just because I feel like for myself, like that's the truest form. It's not just like reaching out because you want something or, reaching out when it's like convenient for you. I believe in, staying connected. So he's a good dude. And he's blown up. It's crazy. It's wild to see him from when we were shooting him at GQ when like no one knew who he was, what he looked like, what he was about. I went to the Travis Scott concert with him and I literally couldn't even touch him. Like young kids were taking his picture. I like couldn't even talk to him throughout it. And it's just wild to see, like I said, his trajectory from, starting to now, being the helm of Louis Vuitton. It's wild.
That's crazy. I think, what you kind of have mentioned, maybe the live chat had missed is that, a lot of people in the live chat want to either, pursue a career in the sneaker industry and fashion industry, or are currently in sneaker retail or whatnot and want to go a little bit further. And basically where we're at in your story is you started by writing a really passionate letter to somebody you admired, and the dude answered 3 months later, and you did your thing over there. And it sounds like you moved over, you took your experience there and you grew and went over to GQ. And you continue doing a great job. You made connections. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you did at GQ, just so people can kind of get a better understanding of different roles that are available at these different brands?
Yeah, of course. So when I started at Kith, I was very well versed in the sneaker streetwear industry, and being that I wanted to be immersed in the menswear culture, I feel like I needed to round it out. And GQ was a lot of suiting, a lot of tailoring, a lot more editorial side, obviously, of publication. So I left Kith after about a year or so, and I moved on to GQ on the editorial side. So I was helping the creative director at the time, which was Jim Moore, and Madeline Weeks, the fashion director. So I was doing more of the editorial. So I was dressing, calling in samples for the celebrities, the models we were dressing at the time, campaigns that we were doing, any of the females that we dressed at the time. We did a big shoot with Meek Mill and Nicki Minaj when they were dating. Nice. RIP to that relationship. When we shot, Kendall Jenner, Gronk, any of these people, I was calling in samples, dressing them, figuring out, obviously, brands and things like that they looked best in, traveling with the clothing, traveling to set. So I did that for about 3 years, which was amazing. I mean, for me, I've never worked on editorials or publications or campaigns. And that really, that shaped, I think, my knowledge as a whole, because that was where I really was able to see, the streetwear side, as well as the sneaker side, as well as, the sartorial side, getting dressed up, and being around celebrities, being around designers, learning about new brands, scouting new talent. And I feel like that set me up for, the next X amount of years. And that took me to Barney's afterwards.
That's awesome. I think, a lot of times when somebody asks me advice about like where they should start to get their feet wet and stuff like that, I also say like my first job in sneakers ever was like working at Modell's in New York City.
I think retail.
So retail is a great start, but then also working for a publication is really important, because there's so many things that a publication does. Like you said, you were pulling samples, you were styling, you were with the photo shoots, you were actually talking to the talent and all this stuff. And that's where you kind of start to understand all these jobs within the sneaker or fashion industry that you don't necessarily see on the surface. When you look at a magazine, you probably only think writer, editor, and photographer. There's
100%.
so many people who are part of a photo shoot or editorial team. So everybody in the live chat, if you guys are listening, pay attention closely to the names she's saying, write them down, Google them. The same way she emailed Ronnie Fieg is the same way you can email these people. And if you are looking for a job after all this quarantine stuff, like, it's going to take that same work ethic, dedication, and hustle to really like, be vulnerable and tell somebody how passionate you are to do something. You might not get a response in the first 2 weeks. Madison waited 3 months. You know what I'm saying? It might not be 3 months. It might be a year, but
it's so true. And and listen, like I said, my handle's included. Like, I love talking to people regardless of who you are, where you come from, how old you are. Like, everyone starts from somewhere. And I believe that everyone deserves a chance. And I think it, like Ray said, it's obviously very hard to like find your niche and find where you fit in. And I felt the exact same way. I just knew, I had a gut instinct. Like, I love men's fashion. I love sneakers, and like, I'm going to run with it and I'll see where it takes me. But persistency is for sure number one. And just reading and learning and knowing everything, like reading up and just talking to people, it's key.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like the root of this show. That's why I try to choose guests that, like yourself, have a different perspective other than just, we all know like you have great style, but I love that you're just dropping these, really subtle gems for people to like really digest and really like unpack, to understand like, wow, like, okay, cool. Maybe there is a lot more to it than just trying to be like an influencer in sneakers. Like, this person started with an email and, worked her way up. And I think a lot of people forget that it's all about the connection that you make with people and the energy you give off.
100%.
And then your work ethic, your talent, and your skills and all that stuff.
100%.
I think that I could talk about that for 8 hours, because I'm very blessed to be doing this today. Because back when I was just taking photos in fitting rooms in 2006, I only cared about doing it because I loved it. I didn't care about the money. There was no money. There was no jobs that I knew of. I just did it because I knew it was something that made me happy. So it sounds cliche to kind of follow your happiness, but when we talk about sneakers is a very passionate thing. And, you talk about guys like Ronnie Fieg, Virgil, these guys are so detailed orientated that if you don't have the passion for it, you just won't understand being in that world.
It's honestly, it's so true, because, sorry to say one other thing, but I, like I said, I was always like different growing up than any of my girlfriends, a lot, even my family, they didn't understand. And like, this is something that I was always a tomboy. I always had this gut instinct that like, I wanted to do something, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it brought me happiness. Sneakers brought me happiness, playing basketball. And I just went with it. And I've been that way, and, 30 years old now. And I can say that I have not veered off, from being who I am, dressing the way that I want. When I go on dates and stuff like that, like half of the guys I go on dates with, they're like, do you only wear sneakers? Like, I went on a first date with somebody, I went with wearing Timbs. Like, This is who I am. It doesn't really change no matter what. So for me, I say that no matter what age you are, like if that makes you happy and that gives you confidence, then run with it.
Hey, you got some hardcore fans in the live chat. Somebody, I forget who the name was, but they said that Ivan Jasper named a sneaker after you. Somebody said that you definitely deserve your own Air Jordan 1 Fearless collab. You got some real dedicated fans in the live chat blowing it up right now.
Well, Ivan Jasper did name a shoe after me, and then he ended up leaving the company. So, but he did. It just never ended up getting produced.
That's crazy. You know, there's so many different parts of the sneaker community that I respect. And like you said, it's all about being yourself. My connection to sneaker culture was just being fresh, just stepping out fresh. And that was it. Like, I'm not a big collector per se. I'm not big on reselling. I just love being fresh. But, you know, when it comes to collecting sneakers, there are like really big historians in this culture that I respect. One of them being a really good friend of mine. His name is Rollo Tornado Jr. He actually just accomplished something that's just like so mind-blowing in 2020 that I wanted to share with you guys in the live chat. So his user handle on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere on the internet is @DunksAreNice. And he actually just completed all the colorways of the original Air Jordan 1 through 14. Let me say that again. He completed all original Air Jordan 1 through 14, and he just produced a video and wanted to show you guys your collection real quick. So shout out to Rollo. This is my guy from the Bay Area.
I can finally say that after so long. 12 years to be exact. So
Madison, you're about to see like some retarded Air Jordan 1s that I wish I had in my collection.
1 through 4 could be in any size, depending what sneaker model and colorway. Majority of the ones are in my size, but as you see, some aren't. If it came with the original box, that was a real bonus to me. But when it came to OG Jordan 5 through 14, it really had to be in my size with the original box in a clean or good condition overall. That was just my standard with
Jordan needs to go ahead and just retro all the metallic ones like ASAP.
That weren't in my size, but again, it's just that price that I couldn't pass.
Wow.
Comment down below in the comment section of what your first OG Jordan
was. Yes, for everybody in live chat, these are OGs.
Down below in the comment section. I actually like reading those comments a lot. So, what's next? You know, to be honest,
shout out to Rollo to get everybody in the live chat going crazy.
I want to go in and get a better condition for certain sneakers or get my actual size for certain ones that aren't in my size. OG Jordan 1 through 4 can be an exception, of course, because that's hard. Just
for those of you who don't understand like how difficult it is to obtain original Air Jordans with the box, like it's almost impossible.
Or having a signed pair in the collection would be really cool to own.
Sneaker Game says this guy must have bank.
But more than likely, I want to go.
What's his day job? Rollo is a photographer, wedding photographer. So he's been doing photography for
I'm just really happy and
almost a decade now, I believe, if not longer.
I want to go and enjoy it. And with that being said, I just want to go ahead and thank you,
this is literally incredible,
the people watching my videos. Just want to say thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks.
I want to meet him and also just like take everything.
Yeah.
Holy
that's
shit.
Nuts. That video was
crazy.
Man. You know, like that's the video I would expect from like Jordan Brand to produce. But
I was gonna say,
you know,
that's wild.
To me, that's interesting. It's so interesting because that is what carries this culture to places that we can't even think of. Like a lot of these sneakers came out in 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. And to see them in 2020 is just like, you know, mind blowing. What was your first pair of Air Jordan 1s, Madison?
Oh God. Shit.
I'll tell
now
you.
You're going to make me think. And now I really feel old.
My first pair of Air Jordans was the Air Jordan 8. My mom took like back in the day when you were a kid, your mom like sets up these like crazy backdrops for a photographer to come and like have you set up. So I actually have a photo on my Instagram. It's like the first photo, if you scroll all the way down, of me with a basketball, some overalls, and the playoff 8s. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, I still want those OGs.
I want to say mine might have been the 11s, but I was a huge SB, like back in middle school and high school, SBs were it for me. Really? I mean, I always loved Jordans, but it was all about like the Reebok Questions, Reebok 5s. And then I became obsessed with SBs, collecting SBs. I wasn't as big into Jordans in middle school, but I want to say high school might have been the Bred 11s.
Wow.
That might have been my first pair.
Bred 11s, that's not a bad first pair.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
My favorites back in the day.
It's not. You know what's funny? They were my favorites, and I moved on from the 11s for so long. I feel like I really wasn't like buying any of them. I always like appreciated them, but they were never like one of my top. And then I ended up pulling them out of my closet. I want to say like 4 months ago. And now I'm like very into 11s again.
They look great. I think, with over time as fashion, evolves and the way we view how sneakers fit in different, social spaces. The Air Jordan 11 went from just something you wear with like gray sweats or basketball shorts. And now you wear them with like, wide leg pants and like, you can elevate the shoe really well. I think that's something you do great as well. Beyond just like the streetwear looks, you also have this expanded view on fashion, and you've been exposed to all different types of, styles that you incorporate, like sportswear footwear with like, really elegant pieces. And I think that's what makes me really identify with your style.
I mean, I love doing that. Like I said, I'm not a designer sneaker girl at all and never have been. And, as much as I appreciate New Balance and, Asics and what Ronnie has done for bringing those back, Nike has my heart, my soul, and all of my money.
Nike's your favorite brand ever?
Nike, it just, I can't explain it to you. Like, I mean, I'm sure you get it. Like when I get that box and it comes to my apartment or it comes to my house now, and I open it, the joy that it brings. And like when I wake up in the morning in my apartment and I literally roll over and my closet's right there. And I stare at the shoes and I'm like, shit, which one am I going to wear today? And I just like, I put them on and then the outfit flows and it comes all together. And like, I don't know. It's just like, it's a feeling that I get that Nike and Jordan they're the only ones that bring that sense to me.
I agree. I'm not going to lie. I don't hesitate when somebody asks me what my favorite brand is, from a personality standpoint or impact from a creativity standpoint. I always say Nike. I do love Vans right up there just because Vans is just very like,
That's fair.
It's not, for me, Vans feels super authentic and just like very grounded. And I love that about their brand. So where Nike really sparks like sportswear memories, Vans really brings that grounded and like just classic feel to whatever I'm wearing. So they're like neck and neck, but I have to give Nike the edge just because I grew up a Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant fan.
Nike just has nostalgia. I mean, of course, like, Vans I love Vans also. I went through a very large phase of rocking Vans very often. But Nike just has that nostalgia, and Nike just, like I said, has that feeling. Like I put it on my foot and I feel like every single day I fall in love with a new shoe. Like I wasn't wearing Jordan 4s for so long. And then now I'm obsessed with Jordan 4s again. And
one of the most comfortable Jordans.
Agreed. Jordan 1s, like I have every single one of them, honestly. And I love them. I feel like they're kind of outplayed because I feel like Nike just keeps bringing them out a little bit too often and like throwing these new colorways on them. But classic Jordan 4s and honestly now Jordan 5s again as well with this Virgil collab, which I actually really love. And I'm praying that I get the creams.
Fire.
They're also doing it for me too. Yeah, they are fire.
Oh man, can you stop flexing? I'm like, I'm getting a little upset.
I hope I can. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Now, with, obviously for those of you who live in different cities, it's different, orders that our mayors have been giving. Here in LA, they've extended the quarantines until I think the beginning of May, if I'm not mistaken. I think in Dallas it's like at the end of May. But I think this quarantine has really been challenging like our boredom and like what we get into and like how we entertain ourselves. And I was actually doing some reading on the internet, and I saw that gaming, since the quarantine has been mandated, is up 45% around the United States. If you're in the live chat right now, definitely let me know which game console do you own. Is it PlayStation? Is it Xbox, Nintendo Switch? What do you own? Is it PC? Madison, are you into playing video games at all, or you kept it more OG like back in the day when you were on like Super Nintendo and stuff?
I think my dad bought me like some video game. I think it was Need for Speed that I was addicted to. My dad is a huge car guy. So I was obsessed with Need for Speed back in the day. And then obviously Mario Kart, because who wasn't? But I can't remember the last time I honestly played a video game. I wouldn't even know what to do, I feel like, at this point.
Have you, last episode, we kind of talked a little bit about this video game for Nintendo Switch that just dropped. It's called Animal Crossing. I don't know if you've seen like on Hypebeast or Highest Notoriety, but there's people on this Animal Crossing game. It's kind of like Sims where you can build outfits for your characters. People have been creating like streetwear looks for all of their Animal Crossing characters. Have you seen any of that stuff?
I have. I probably have. I just probably don't remember because I feel like I scroll through everything and some of it I don't retain. So no, I don't, not that I recall at the top of my head.
Please don't look. One of the members in the chat, please don't look. He said he stands a legend who's into Need for Speed. So shout out to that. Yeah, Glenn, I'm actually from New York City, but I've been in LA for 3 years. So shout out to palm trees in the sunshine. Definitely prefer it. But shout out to New York too. Now, for those of you who have PlayStation, I don't know if you saw the news relating to this whole gaming topic we're talking about, but PlayStation just debuted their very new controller. Everybody who's ever hated on Xbox who has a PlayStation, I feel like you just took a big L because PlayStation just made their controller look like the Xbox. So shout out to everybody on Team Xbox. I'm one of the members. Madison, when you were playing Need for Speed, I believe that was like on PlayStation, right?
Yeah, I want to say I was obsessed with it though, like building out your car, and I don't know, the game itself, I loved it.
Yeah, so PlayStation is about to drop their PS5, I think maybe late 2020 or whatever the case is, but it's been interesting, like even on ESPN, the NBA is trying to find ways to get, the athletes, to play NBA 2K against each other and like, stream a whole bunch of different things. So this quarantine has been interesting because it obviously led to you doing your first live stream here on Caffeine. It's leading to ESPN showing live stream video games. So it's just like interesting that
everyone's trying to find out ways that work.
What's funny is everything that we were into as kids that our parents told us to grow up and stop doing. Now it's just like these explosive industries.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really interesting that everything we were told to stop doing, like I remember my mom telling me stop buying sneakers, and now she calls me and asks me for like a brand new pair of Ultra Boosts.
My mother stalks my life, starting at 7 a.m. asking me for Jordans, Nikes, anything and everything that I have. She literally already bought the Stussies and they're arriving tomorrow for her because I opened my box and she was like, excuse me, where are mine?
I love it. So that's funny. My parents were never like that. My parents never asked me for sneakers. My dad asked me for a pair of sneakers last year. It was the Delomio Air Force Ones. And I can't believe the phone call because Nike invited me to like an event for Dominicans in New York City.
Right.
And they dropped, right? And so I bring the shoes to my dad. I'm like, yo, Pops, look at these. They're, inspired by Dominican Republic, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, they're cool. So I get a call like 2 weeks later, right? He's like, hey, those sneakers you showed me? Can you call Nike and tell them to send me a pair? And I was like, what? I was like, is this my dad calling?
That is so funny.
He's into construction, so like he doesn't care about sneakers. He's into like boots, right?
Yeah.
So he was just like, yeah, I saw the sneakers that you showed me on Telemundo. Yeah, and I want them. You just call Nike and tell them to send me a pair.
I love that. I love that.
I love how like parents they're just like when they get caught by the hype, there's no, oh, I'm sorry. You're right. This is actually really dope what you're into. They'll just like make demands and you just got to like hook the parents.
It's wild. I mean, listen, my mom, she's been in the fashion industry for her entire life and my entire life. And, she was wearing like heels and definitely more feminine pieces. And then I'd always been in it and she never really picked up on it until I want to say like 3 years ago. And she is fully addicted. Like she wears every Jordan, any Nike,
Wow.
She lives and breathes it. And now with Instagram, it is like at her fingertips 24/7. So the second that I upload something, she DMs me and she's like, when did you get those? And how do I get them?
You guys wear the same size?
Unfortunately not. I mean, she has really good shit, like not even sneakers, just good shit in general, bags, clothing. If everyone has my handle, follow her. She is a legend when it comes to putting clothing together. And especially now that she has Jordans and Nikes incorporated, it's next level.
It's next level.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Speaking about next level, now, something I saw recently with my girlfriend, we watched the whole series, and this was like next level, entertainment.
Oh God,
beyond just like sneakers and gaming. This was like one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen in my life. Has anybody in the live chat seen Tiger King on Netflix? Please let me know. Drop a tiger in the comments. Let me know if you saw Tiger King. Probably one of the most entertaining things ever. Now, Madison, I want to have a little bit of fun. It's not just about sneakers and gaming on this show, but, we also like to talk about lifestyle. And since quarantine is part of the lifestyle now, I'm curious, have you seen Tiger King? And if so, are you Team Joe or Team Carol?
I watched it literally, I think before it like officially blew up. I made my parents watch it. My parents literally were like, what the hell is going on? And they were fully concerned with me suggesting it.
Yeah.
I hate them both, but I guess I'm going to go with Team Carol on this one. I don't know. It's only because Joe's killed tigers. So I'm not going with Joe.
I'm conflicted by this question too, right? Because like, I love how, Joe is just mad funny. He's like one of those people who don't know he's funny, but he just like has me crying every second with everything.
Everything was insane. And now that he has Kim and Kanye supposedly trying to get him out of jail.
Does he really?
Yeah, there was a whole write-up, now that she's on this like path to release people that are innocent. No. Yeah, her and Kanye are like doing this whole petition to try to get him out of jail, which is wild to me.
That's nuts. I'm torn. I don't know if I want to say I'm Team Joe, but again, really? I'm conflicted. But, Carol, we still don't know if she like, played a role in like her husband's disappearance.
Oh, she 100% killed him.
I don't want to say that, but that's kind of what the temperature is. Cardi B is convinced.
Oh, I'm convinced she killed him. Convinced. That's why the other husband does all the weird shit with her, because he doesn't want to be fed to the tigers. And I also heard that there's a new episode coming out.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I heard as well. I think Joe Exotic's business partner confirmed that they interviewed Joe from prison, and they're going to drop that pretty soon. So
I need more.
Everybody who watched Tiger King, if you haven't watched Tiger King, it's ridiculous. The memes are ridiculous.
It's insane.
They've been like photoshopping Lil Wayne as Tiger King and all different types of people. So shout out to
Did you see the Jordan 3s with like all the like the tiger stripe, the leopard? They like photoshopped him wearing it.
Oh, that's fire. The Joe Exotic 3s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, if he comes out of jail wearing the Joe Exotic 3s, that's gonna be bananas.
I have no doubt in my mind that there will be something.
Yeah, that's nice.
He'll probably be wearing Yeezy. If Kanye gets him out, he'll be wearing Yeezy. Yeah,
that's gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
Are you watching anything else on Netflix besides Tiger King? I've been watching Ozark, and Ozark's it's cool. It's good.
I feel like I stopped watching that after the first season, but now I'm like, now that I'm trying to find things to do and like new things to watch, I'm like, should I just go back and rewatch the first season and get back into like 2 and then be eventually able to watch 3? I'm trying to think what else.
I just started season 3. It's a pretty dark series. So like I only watch a couple episodes because I'm not trying to like be all dark mooded all the time.
Yeah, I feel you. There was also High Fidelity on Hulu that I love because I love Zoe Kravitz.
High Fidelity, shout out to there's people saying Money Heist is fire.
Oh yeah, everyone said Money Heist is amazing. Everyone said to watch that on Netflix. I haven't gotten into that yet. And the Valhalla Murders. Supposedly,
I don't think I've heard of that. I'll definitely check out.
That's amazing. And then I just rewatched The Office 24/7 because The Office never gets old.
Shout out to The Office.
The Office is literally like I live and breathe that show.
I will admit, I've only seen a couple episodes of The Office, but I'm not like I can't
That's
sit
crazy.
and watch like a whole TV series like that. I don't know why. I just like didn't necessarily.
Also, one other thing, not to cut you off, if you haven't watched The Sopranos, re-watch The Sopranos. Or start from the beginning. I am jealous of everyone that has never seen it before.
Shout out to The Sopranos. I'll definitely give it a rewatch now that you said it, because I haven't seen that.
Oh my God, it's worth it. I rewatched it like a couple months ago. It was really worth it.
Now, switching gears back to sneakers a little bit, you know, I wanted to ask you the question that I just love asking our guests, because that is the reason why we're here, and, you know, have this amazing show with Caffeine. Now, I'm curious on, you know, what sneaker defines your journey? I feel like everybody in the live chat has heard me talk about how Nike SB was so instrumental in, you know, me finding my creativity, and also like, you know, me moving from the East Coast to the West Coast because I sold Nike SBs. And so I'll always attribute Nike SB to my rise. I have like the Nike SB dunk book behind me. Like SBs will always be part of my life. So I'm curious, Madison, can you let me know like what sneaker defines your journey, and why does that shoe mean so much to you, and what's that personal connection like for you?
I would say it would either be the Reebok Question mids or the fives. And like I said, being from Philadelphia, playing basketball as a kid, being a tomboy, you know, idolizing Allen Iverson, which I know might scare a few people, but, you know, his attitude and the confidence, and like I said, the swag that he had, like, and that he still has, for me, I feel like really built my love for sneakers, for that culture in general. Whether it was music, whether it was fashion, that was just it for me. It really was. Like as a kid growing up, like I said, especially in Philadelphia, going to Lower Merion, you know, Kobe Bryant playing and going to Lower Merion. It was something that was inherent in me. And I feel like it's stuck with me now. And any time that people ask me questions like this, or I go back on, you know, why my love for sneakers, why, you know, where it grew and where it stemmed from, I always go back to Allen Iverson, the Reebok Questions, or the Reebok, you know, the fives. And that was it. That's like really for me where it started.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember I got really big into Reebok Questions because, you know, back in the day when I started to wear men's sizing, like size 8 and up, Jordans started to become like $150, $170, like right around the time I think like 16s came out and stuff like that. So my mom would literally get me like Reebok Questions because they were mad cheap, but they were also super fly.
Yeah. So, someone wrote Reebok Pump Classics were my go-to when I was a kid, and I remember having those also.
Yeah, shout out to Pixelated. Reebok pumps are definitely fire.
Yeah, sure. 100%.
Now, I did see on your Instagram, you actually have a signed pair of Iversons, right?
I do. My mom actually won them at an auction for me years ago. Years ago.
You live a blessed life of being plugged. We all, everybody wants to be Madison.
Not always, but like I said, I've taken a few L's in my life, but more recently, definitely more wins. I hope I like that. Like I said, I feel like when I say that, I put the bad juju out there. And I feel like we have enough bad juju in general. So I'm not going to say that, but I have been blessed. I will say that in the sneaker world.
Shout out to the Reebok Question and your journey. Now, I kind of want to talk about a few sneakers that are coming up that I'm actually looking forward to, and I would love to get your opinion on it. Now, the first sneaker that I'm looking forward to is the Air Jordan 6 DMP. If anybody remembers this shoe when it originally dropped in a pack with the Air Jordan 11, people were going bananas. Like,
I remember that.
This changed the culture of sneaker releases for a very long time. If anybody remembers the original Air Jordan DMP Defining Moments pack, definitely let us know in the comments. But they're about to redrop them again on April 18th for $200. Is this a cop for you, a pass, or how do you feel?
Like I said, I have a few favorite Jordan silhouettes. The 6s are definitely up there for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I would say they're probably a cop. Definitely.
I like them. You know, like I personally like sticking to OG colorways.
Yeah.
So the Infrared 6,
I agree with you.
Just like Infrared 6 is bar none one of the greatest sneakers of all time.
Agreed.
But there's something about this gold that matches everything. you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's one of those shoes that you don't
and
have
I
to
agree with
try.
you about OG colorways for sure, especially when it comes to Jordans.
Yeah, I would say like I'm not a snob when it comes to anything, but when it comes to original Air Jordan colorways, I'm definitely a snob for sure. So
that's a good thing.
I see a lot of people in the live chat saying Instacop Nate Frost earn perks as facts to OG colorways. 76 says sixes are a sleeper. Guapini loves the gold accent. So shout out to everybody who's feeling the Air Jordan 6. Now, the next sneaker that I'm looking forward to actually drops tomorrow, the Adidas Human Made Shell Toe collection. And this is I'm going to preface this. Nigo style, being from Japan and all, like they love shell toes and love keeping it classic. So I love the fact that they just have very minimal branding, and I love that off-white toe and sole. How do you feel about this Human Made collection?
It's funny. The only Adidas that I've ever loved is the shell toe. And in my eyes, like I said, the Nigo style, his aesthetic, everything about him, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
I actually really do like these, and I haven't bought a pair of Adidas. I haven't loved a pair of Adidas in a very long time.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't cop them because I feel like it'd be very off-brand for me. But I do like these. I like how minimal and clean they are.
Yeah, super dope. Their 155 is going to be tough for me to spend on shell toes, especially since shell toes are kind of uncomfortable for me. They don't necessarily agree with my foot for a long period of time. I love the way they look, but not too comfortable for me.
Yeah.
Is anybody in the live chat, are you guys looking forward to copying the Human Made or nah? Let us know.
Probably not for 155 either. I agree.
Vanessa says nah. Maluma says pass. People are like, not too hyped on it, but it's okay. Maybe you can get, if they hit the sale rack for like 100, I'd probably get a pair. That's just me.
That's fair.
Now, the last shoe that we're looking forward to, like the news just broke on this, and it was actually perfect just in time for this episode and having you on. So Jordan Brand supposedly is looking to do a satin Chicago Air Jordan 1 colorway, but what's different on it is that it'll have some exotic animal print on it, but it's going to be a women's release, supposedly. Madison, they obviously did the shattered backboard satin ones. How do you feel about them putting like animal print on the Chicago? Would you prefer all satin or just like a little bit of a twist?
I have every satin that they've done. Mm-hmm. These I don't mess with. They're a little too feminine for me, and I feel like they're trying to reach that demographic that I probably would love to steer away from. So I'm gonna say it's a hard no for me. And like I said, Chicago's are probably my favorite ones of all time, and if not my favorite shoe. But they're a hard pass for me.
Yeah, I wish they weren't. Again, this is just kind of like speculation, but if they do put animal print on it, it's like a super L, because it's just like, yo, just give us the satin. Like,
yeah, I agree. The embossed like croc or whatever they have going on there does not. Yeah, it doesn't do it for me.
Even with the shattered backboard satins, like I didn't like that they put leather on it and like translucent sole, because I actually have a pair right here, and my bookshelf is about to fall because I'm pulling it. But the original bread satin one, in my opinion, they should do all satins like this. Like
I agree with you 100%.
It has
I love those
leather insole, which is it's hard to see here, but it's satin all around, and obviously the creasing is like terrible. I don't really care about creasing, but I just wish that I get that Jordan Brand is trying to like cater to women and stuff like that, but what I hear a lot from women in the sneaker culture is they just want the same shoe that men get. Do you agree 100%. With that, or how do you feel?
I felt that way since day one. I did like a marketing thing for Nike back in the day, and I remember talking to them about that because I feel like Jordan had all these releases, these Valentine's Day, and it was like pink and glittery and purple, and like no one wants that. Everyone wants what the guys are wearing. And I feel like they've actually had some hits with women's releases that a lot of my guy friends were really shook up about, that they couldn't get in their size.
Yeah.
But these are not one of them. And I agree with you. They should be all satin. The embossed croc doesn't do it.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully they hear the feedback. I don't know if they have enough time to change it, but
yeah, probably not.
Yeah, so definitely, Jordan, if you're listening, give us all satin, make it unisex sizes because the men want Chicago satin ones as well. But yeah, we don't need animal print on our Air Jordans. We do not look like Joe Exotic.
No, and we don't want to. We definitely don't want to.
Joe Exotic definitely has that Southern swag for sure.
Oh God.
Now, we're definitely we just got into overtime by about like 10 minutes. So shout out to you being our second guest in a row who puts us in an overtime, because your conversation has just been, super dope, very, thoughtful and intelligent, and just like super interesting to hear your story. But I wanted to spend, the last bit of overtime just like asking you about like where you're at in your career now in terms of, being a woman holding a menswear director position for a luxury department store, coming from GQ, coming from Kith. What do you think are the unique qualities that help you stand out in this field?
I think, as cliche as it sounds, I've always had the confidence that I knew that I always felt like I knew what I was talking about, even sometimes when I didn't. And I just went with it. It was always a gut feeling, of knowing certain things that I loved and really sticking with them, whether that was, clothing that went together, whether that was sneakers that I loved, whether that was brands that I stuck with. I think that was always something that's really important. And it always sticks out to me, especially being a female, in this industry and working with other females in the industry. You could tell, who has that confidence and who doesn't. And I think that's gotten me to where I am, because I never gave a shit what people said. I never really hesitated on what I wanted to do. I was really persistent with it. I held on to connections. Yeah. I still hold on to all those connections, regardless if they're gonna, help me in the long run or not. And I always think it's really important to give people a chance. Like, I was always given a chance in all my situations, whether that was at Kith, at Barney's, and now at Saks, being able to prove myself. And that I think the confidence and the persistence are two huge factors for me.
Confidence and persistence. I love that. That's a great way to kind of put a bow tie on everything you said. And the reason I asked about those unique qualities is because, I feel like we live in a society where we're supposed to be humble. We're supposed to be, not really think of ourselves in certain lights and stuff like that. But to really excel, you have to not only put in the work, do the research, and like you said, know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But you also have to have that confidence to make people feel like they want you part of their team or want you to lead their team, or that confidence that makes people want to be part of your team.
Yeah. And I also think another thing that I love that you said is putting in the work, because, going back to a lot of millennials and people that are, my age or maybe a little bit younger, I don't think they realize how much work it takes, to work your way up and work your way through certain jobs. And, even if you're currently in, doing, at a company or something like that, I feel like there's always something more that you can do. And just to be able to prove yourself and, show your creativity and do extra things, that show, your company or your boss that you have others, you're not one dimensional. And I think that was always huge for me, whether that's now with like my Instagram and really trying to build on my brand, and also helping Saks, work through their brand as well, and rebranding our men's section, and, finding new customers and being able to do things like that. I think, creativity and also not being scared to put in the work, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. You have Guapini who asked kind of like a follow-up question to what you just said. And he asked, what drew you into Saks compared to other luxury companies?
Well, actually, my mom's been at Saks for 30 years, but that's really not why I was there. I think what drew me to Saks the most is they really didn't have a men's voice before I came. And I think being able to rebrand that men's voice for them, and, you know, gaining new traction and building a new customer a new customer base, and bringing in new brands that I felt really confident about, you know, bringing in, you know, Jerry Lorenzo and Ruji from Rude and Reese Cooper and all these other brands that I felt were very important in the menswear culture now that we were lacking. So I think that's what really drew me to Saks, because we didn't have a strong menswear voice. And I think we're not there 100%. And obviously, you know, this COVID situation definitely put a damper on things, but I think we're getting there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, again, you know, for me, the underlining detail of how you just explained what you said is you saw a company that does really, really well, and you felt like you can contribute to their legacy because you understood the market, you understood what is really hitting and what is tasteful, and you had the confidence to, you know, apply that. And, you know, a company really believed in how you felt. That's
for sure.
That was a really great follow-up question. So shout out to the live chat.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, my last question for you, because I know you're a busy lady, you gotta, you know, go eat dinner probably. I know I have dinner, but I did read in an interview recently, I think it was Hype Bay who had asked you, what is the sneaker that you regret copping? And you replied and said, any Yeezy is the shoe that I regret copping. Now, I wanted to follow up and ask, because you just said it like really straightforward and then like left it at that. But I like details. So I'm curious, why do you regret copping any Yeezy you've ever had?
You know, I always will respect Kanye as a lyricist, but his brand just doesn't do it for me. And I think I bought into it because I loved him, but the shoes were made like shit. And like I said, they didn't give me that feeling that when I put it on my foot that Nike gives. I just can't, you know, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure you get it. But for people out there, like, there's just no better feeling than having that Nike on your foot. And when I had those like turtle doves on my foot, it was a no. It was a big no for me. And so I think anything Yeezy at that point, when I bought all of them and then I sold all of them and I actually made a good amount of money. Yeah, I regret buying any of those for sure.
Yeah, I respect it. I love the transparency. I think that's something that's going to really helps sneaker brands, is just having a transparent conversation about like why you didn't mess with the product. And, you know, it doesn't sound like you have much bias. You kind of gave your analysis on, you weren't big on the quality and it didn't give you that feeling. So I definitely understand that. That's one of the biggest reasons why, you know, I'll be honest, like I love off-white sneakers, but I get that feeling when I put on an original colorway of Air Jordan. So I love what Virgil's doing with the 1s and the 5s and all that stuff. They're phenomenal. They're fire. I just get that feeling from original J. So
I completely agree with you.
Instead of me just kind of like getting all, you know, sad about me catching my L's, I kind of eventually learned like, let me stick to that feeling. And I think that's what's always carried me through this culture, or just through life in general, is like following that feeling. You said it a little bit earlier, that gut feeling. When you know it feels good, you stick with it and you ride it up, right?
And that's the thing. Like the second I put on a pair of Nikes, for me, like especially an OG colorway or something that I love, you know, that sense of confidence and like that feeling of swag, that you can't buy that. And for me, when I put on a pair of Yeezys or another brand that is just not authentic to me, I don't feel like my authentic self or confident. And if I lack those two things, then, you know, my whole day, my sense of self is off. And, you know, Nike does that for me. So shout out to Nike.
Yeah, shout out to Nike. Now, before I let you guys go, I'm going to let you guys ask Madison. I'm going to let Madison take maybe 2 questions if she has time from the live chat. I'm going to talk to you guys about the deal of the day while you guys get your Q&A on with Madison. So while I talk about the deal of the day, Madison's going to choose 2 questions to kind of answer. But today's deal of the day, super fire. If we're talking about Air Jordans, East Bay definitely has 25% off, especially if you were rocking with the Air Jordan 3 all red. You can take 25% off, and it comes down to about like $150 before tax, which is an amazing price. When Jordans hit 220, that's when I kind of checked out. But 150 is a fire deal. So shout out to anybody who takes advantage of this deal. The link is right there if you want to type it in, bit.ly/unds-deal5. And the code is take25. You can actually use that across the whole ebay.com, and you'll get 25% off whatever they have available. I just thought the Jordan 3 was probably like the best deal. So I see you guys getting in a bunch of questions from Madison. So I'm just curious, Madison, let me know if you want to answer a couple before.
Someone asked me if I ever camped out for a pair of sneakers. Uh-oh. And I can say with full confidence and happiness that I have never. Wow. And I have never paid resale value because it's funny when I first started my job at Kith, I was very much into Flight Club, and I was like looking and, thinking about buying a few pairs, and a few of my friends from the shop who I'm still friends with now that happen to still work there, they said to me, they're like, no. Like, you're new to this, obviously, because I used to buy them in Philly. I never had a problem. Yeah. And now all of a sudden I couldn't find my size, and I was buying things off eBay and whatever. And they looked at me, they're like, never pay resale value. And that really just stuck with me. So ever since then, I have never had to, I'm very blessed to say that. And I'm hopefully I never will. And yeah, that definitely stuck out to me as a question. Cause I feel like people always ask me that, like, do you pay resale value? Do you camp out? Do you sleep over? I see all these people outside the Kith store, and I'm like, no.
I love that. Hey, shout out to you, living a very privileged sneaker life. I can't hate on that because I'm sure we would all love to say the same. Now we got time for one more question. Did you see a question, the last question that you want to answer, or you want to take
Someone asked me my favorite sneakers in my collection. I love this question. I would either say Jordan 1 Chicago's, or I would probably say, that's a hard one. My second favorite would probably be Jordan 4 Breads.
Wow.
Like I said, I'm very much into breads into 4s these days.
Classics.
Yeah.
Classics.
And everything looks good with a sweatsuit, and that's all I'm wearing right now. So
everything does look good with sweatsuits. I actually have to go to Target to buy some gray sweats with the scrunchy bottoms here in a second.
Yeah, seriously. That's, key. Russell makes really, really good ones too.
Russell, yes. Shout out to Russell. I like to get my sweats from Walmart, but in LA, it's really difficult to get to a Walmart, especially if you live where I'm at. But actually, Sticky from our team just reminded me that I forgot to ask you a really important question that we've been asking every single guest. And this is the way I'll leave it off because we're about to hit 6:30 and everybody has got to go. We're building a playlist for UNDS, right? And we've been asking all of our guests to let us know their 2 favorite songs or 2 songs that they would love to put on this playlist. And it just kind of reflects like the eclecticness of our community. So it doesn't have to be rap. It doesn't have to be any one genre. So I'm just curious, what 2 songs are you rocking with right now that we can throw on the UNDS playlist?
Oh, wow. Okay. I would say the Tootsie Slide, because I feel like everyone's saying that, but like that just hits. And it's really wild that Drake just has hit after hit, regardless of what he's saying or anything else.
Are you on TikTok? Are you Tootsie Sliding on TikTok or not?
No, I actually have a TikTok, but I haven't done anything on it because it really freaks me out. And I would say my other favorite is probably Flavor in Your Ear by Craig Mack.
Hey, wow. So new school and old school. I
love old school forever.
Please Don't Look said Darude Sandstorm. That is an iconic song. Shout out to you for knowing that song. That is a very iconic song. But yeah, Craig Mack and Tootsie Slide. I appreciate you. That is 2 phenomenal choices that I really mess with. This show has been like phenomenal. I think a lot of people were looking forward to it and they got way more than what they expected. So shout out to Madison Blank,
thank you,
AKA the most plugged person on the UNDS show. Yeah, you're awesome. I hope you enjoyed your first live stream.
Everybody, I had the best time. I was very nervous, just letting everyone know.
I don't think it showed at all. Everybody in the live chat, like, you just got blessed with Madison's first ever live stream. And I'm pretty sure after this, she's going to be super open to doing live streams, especially during the quarantine.
For you, Ray.
I appreciate you. So yeah, definitely hit her up on Instagram. Her Instagram's right there on the screen if you haven't added her already, and then add her mom because her mom is also swaggy. And yeah, this has been episode 5. I'm going to leave you guys with the sneaker giveaway details. Thank you for everyone who shared the broadcast. Now, we're going to announce the giveaway winners 48 hours from today on the Discord channel. So if you haven't been part of the Discord, that's the only place you get to see where we announce the winner. And we're building that community just because it's a really great place for everybody to communicate with each other who's in the live chat throughout the week when the stream, in between streams. So shout out to Madison. We got Tiffany Dunks we're giving away. Thank you guys for tuning in to another super dope episode. I've been loving the show every single episode more and more. I'm going to let you guys know what the comment number is after this in the Discord. Thank you again. I'm going to finish my kombucha. I'm going to get some dinner. I don't know what's for dinner. I think it's like chicken. Madison, I don't know what you're eating for dinner. What do you have?
I think my sister and my mom were cooking soup or something. We've run out of recipes at this point.
Exactly. I've been eating the same pernil for about like 3-4 days, but I love leftovers. So shout out to everybody in the live chat. Madison, hit me up anytime. You're super dope. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having me.